Okay, I'm going to talk to you about, the basics of instructing. Like, I don't know, just kind of my core feelings on what I think on instruction and what I see, especially in the last year of just doing a ton of check rides. And I've had people coming from around the country. I got to line up my cameras here real quick. And I'm warming up the engine on the R44, so clutches lights out, I can go up a little higher. So here's the theme, what I'm thinking. You know, I've always preached that stick with the basics, right? Stick with what we learned from basic private pilot 101. I think a lot of people kind of lose a lot of the basic stuff, and I'm going to talk more about that through this whole video because I want to show you some clearing turns and other things that people do. I get them to do, and then they go, Kenny's not around, I'm not doing that anymore. So the thing that I'm noticing is guys are coming from around the country, and they're rushing everything. They're rushing the startup. Rush, 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 go, go, go. And when I question them, they say, oh, well, that's my flight school, right? Then I've had other instructors say that. Well, instructors are, it's a lot of flight schools pushing people. My question is, I flew EMS for 5 years, and in the EMS environment, everything we did was slow, smooth, methodical. We were taught. We walked to the aircraft. We don't do anything in a hurry, whether we're going to an accident scene or a hospital or we're just transporting for maintenance. We fly the helicopter the same way every time. Point A to point B, safest manner possible. You don't do anything in a hurry. So if we don't do anything in a hurry in EMS, why would there ever be a reason to hurry in the cockpit of the aircraft? I don't get it. And I'd love for somebody to go down and tell me why there's a good reason to rush anything in the helicopter, because I haven't figured it out yet. And the examiner I've been using all these years, he's like the same thing. He's like slow, smooth, methodical. Everything we do is slow, smooth, and methodical. Nothing's in a hurry. And he ran an EMS operation, still running another one at this point for 30-some years. And that's the theme. Everything should be slow, smooth, methodical. So I really don't understand why these flight schools are pushing and rushing people. I'd love to hear a valid reason why people do that. All right, I'm going to get a little farther along the checklist here. Okay, so I've completed my pre-flight checklist, my startup checklist. So instructors, teach a good pre-lift check. Make sure everything is good before you lift up and put a load on the engine. I do have a carbon monoxide light. A lot of you know that happens occasionally in the Robinson. I'm going to go get in flight after a good hover pre-takeoff check. Make sure that light goes out after takeoff. If it doesn't go out within a minute or two, I'm going to turn around and come right back. But first thing, pre-lift-off check. Everything looks really good. I think that's important. And then what I teach students is I want them to get out away from the hangar or whatever obstacles they might have near them. And maybe you have a location where there's nothing around you, but most of the time you've pulled out of a hangar or you're near a dolly or other aircraft. So get up to a hover, kind of move away from everything, and then point into the wind, get stabilized, and check everything out. So let's do that. So I can't stress enough the two-step process of the pickup. As a CFI, hopefully you're already teaching this. Hopefully you've already been taught this. Get the aircraft line the skids, pause, neutralize. Step 2, lift it up. So I'm about 19 inches, so I'm there, right about there. So I'm adjusting that nose up and down, left and right with the pedals. Feels pretty good. Step number 2, gently lift it up off the ground. And there we go. So I'm going to get out away from my hangar. And I can see the wind is out of the west, southwest. I'm going to move over here, get out away from everything. And now I can do a good hover pre-takeoff check. I got away from the hangar. I feel good. Carbon monoxide light's still on, but I'm going to get into flight here shortly, open my vents, and make sure that goes out. Everything else is looking good, though. My timer's running. I'm out of the yellow on the carb heat, except the carbon monoxide light. Everything else is out. Gauges are in the green. We're looking really good. So I'm going to get a quick lesson, or a quick listen to weather.
Warsaw Municipal Airport.
Automated weather observation 2200 Zulu weather wind 240 at 8 visibility 103.
Great. Beautiful night. sunset, or close to sunset. It's beautiful. I don't see any traffic whatsoever, but I'll make a radio call anyway and get in flight because I want that carbon monoxide light to go out. So, good hover pre-takeoff again. You want to make sure the aircraft's good to go. Looking everything over, looks good with the exception of that light. Hopefully it'll be out here shortly. Warsaw traffic helicopter 181, Mike Bravo's departing the north hangars to the west. Warsaw. All right, clearing the runway left and right, making sure it's good. Can't stress enough the hover pre-takeoff checks. And my examiner tells me, right, same examiner I've been using now 23 years, he's like, there's still people not doing a good hover pre-takeoff check, and their school's not teaching them, instructors not teaching them, and that's a bad thing, right? Luckily, I had good instructors, and I was taught to always do it. EMS, they pushed it, they wanted it every time, and that's just what we do. I'm going to open my vent here, a little air coming in, and I'm going to open this vent over here just to make sure that light goes out. I'm going to actually circle back towards the airport. If that thing doesn't go out in like the next minute, I'll go back and land. Clutch light came on there for its normal. As it's tightening, it's like, oh great, carbon monoxide and clutch. I'm like, okay, start counting, waiting for that clutch light to go out. It did. It went like 6 or 8 seconds. So waiting for the carbon monoxide to go out. I'm right back over by my hangars where I can go in and land if that thing doesn't go out here in the next minute. And there it's out. Here's another thing, CFIs. Some of you may have been flying for years. Some of you may be brand new to aviation. You only have a couple hundred hours. Warning and caution lights. Listen to me. I didn't really learn this until I was out working in the world, and I had a mechanic that did all the maintenance, and I really trusted, and he was a great mechanic, and I trusted him with my life. And I called him once over, I was over Chicago in a turbine aircraft, and a low oil pressure light came on, and I looked down, oil pressure, oil temperature's good, and I had a student with me who I'd trained, and I just handed him the POH. I didn't even say anything. He knew exactly what I was doing. He verified with the POH that we could, as long as we had oil pressure and oil temperature, we could go ahead and like to the next airport. So we got there, landed, checked it, checked the oil, looked for leaks. We checked everything out. Temperature, pressure was still good. So we landed, checked everything out. I called the mechanic, and he goes, all right, so you checked the oil level? Yep. Anything dripping? Nope. Air helicopter act funny? Nope. Oil pressure, oil temperature was good? Yep. He goes, all right, bring her home. He said that specific aircraft, that model is known for a faulty oil pressure warning light. So since you checked everything, it's acting normally. Fly it on home, and we'll take a look at it. And of course, if anything pops up during flight, land. Take necessary actions. So he's the one that, when we had a lengthy discussion, he's like, Kenny, those warning and caution lights are idiot lights. They're in the fact that they're just trying to drive your attention down to oil pressure, oil temperature, the other gauges, and to get you to go, hey, what's the aircraft doing? Is the aircraft acting okay? Is everything fine? The majority of the time that you're going to have a light come on, it's going to be probably just some break-in fuzz, a little piece of metal on a chip detector. And, I learned that early on, and I found that throughout my career that I've had all kinds of, chip lights and warning lights, and they've always just been, either faulty light or it had a little chip from a piece of metal in a detector on a main rotor gearbox or something like that. You clean them, you check them, everything's good, and you go again. Alternator light, had that many times, and it was almost always a bad alternator. Usually you could recycle it, and the light would go out, fly a little bit longer, and then as your frequency of flying goes on, it keep getting worse and worse until the alternator go out. So you want to take warning and caution lights serious, of course, but know that a lot of the time when those lights come on, it's taking your attention somewhere else. So you, as the CFI, you want to be ready for these lights to come on. And I know in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of things that are just going to kind of make you nervous and you're going to not be super comfortable with. But with time, these things will come to you. So understand in your own flying and teaching your students, teach the students the same thing. POH for this aircraft, like a lot of them, basically for most of the warning and caution lights, a majority of them are check temperatures, check pressures. Is the aircraft acting funny? If it's not, usually it's land as soon as practical. Every aircraft could be different and every situation could be different. But in general, just know that. Engine chip. I was flying a Jet Ranger once and I'm going to maintenance actually. Engine chip light come on and I'm like, okay, everything's looking good. Nothing's going on. Oil pressure and oil temperature's good. Aircraft's not acting funny. I'm going to continue on to the airport. I get there, I land. The mechanic goes, I tell him what happened and he goes, good. He had just come back from Bell and he said, people make the mistake, and they told about an accident. A guy in a Jet Ranger, chip light, engine chip came on. He autoed, totaled the aircraft, and after they did the inspection, the aircraft was fine, engine was fine. It was a faulty chip light. He destroyed the helicopter over a chip light. So, food for thought moving forward in your CFI career. All right, check this out. We're going to show you. This is the Pro Pilot special ending tonight at midnight. Check this out. So we're going to get to the study guide giveaways. We're going to give away one, do a video, give away another, do a video, give away another. But first I want to show you, before I grab that study guide, this is Pro Pilot right here. All right. So you got the cool Hogs bag with the Hogs logo. Got a insulated here for your drink. Another over here, it's got a laptop sleeve in there. It's got an extra little thing in there for documents, whatever you want to put in it. Oh yeah, Heather's going, go to this side. Yeah, we're rolling right now, right there. We are rolling the Hogs Wall of Fame that you see behind us. As of this date, you're seeing everybody unless somehow you got omitted. So coming out of this package for Pro Pilot, which is private, commercial, instrument, CFI, all courses unlimited. Hogs ball cap, number one. No specific order, I'm just gonna start pulling stuff out. Flight patch, number two. And this is for the person starting out and you know you wanna be a CFI. You're going all the way. You're gonna have to have a plotter if you're gonna be an instructor right there. If you're gonna be an instructor and you're going the Pro Pilot route, you still have to have an E6B to teach your students the basic elements. Oops, we got that jammed up while I was in there. You want to teach your students the basic route. Our examiner allows students to use the private iPad on the private pilot, but he wants them to have a sectional chart as a backup to the iPad for when it freezes, and that happened to us this year. Check ride outcome was not good. So, you need the basics, you need to learn to be able to do that. Yes, you can use the iPad, but you need the basic fundamental skills you must be taught. Pilot logbook, a must-have. You start logging time. FAR AIM 2024, FAR AIM 2024. Right there in the bag, you gotta have a FAR AIM. If you're gonna be student through CFI, gotta have it. And again, I'm just pulling them as they come out. Instrument flying handbook, that doesn't go with that package. Whoops, sorry. No wonder it was just a tad bit heavier. Private pilot study guide. This is gonna be nice at the student level, and I'm telling you, commercial level as well, it's all the same stuff. You know it, you have to know it to higher level, and you have to know commercial pilot privileges and limitations. You'll use it again for commercial, and as a CFI, you'll be teaching out of this. 400 questions. That's included. Helicopter flying handbook, a must-have for everybody. You gotta have it. FAA says, student, you need it. Private, you need it. Commercial, you need it. CFI, you need it. And as an examiner, you need it. Next up, aviation instructor's handbook. You must learn the FOIs. That's the beginning of your CFI check ride. If you don't get through the FOIs, your test is over. You gotta know the FOIs. Yes, we're building brand new FOI videos inside Hogs. Part of it's completed. So you have video help inside the Helicopter Land Ground School course and the CFI course. We're gonna help you, but you need that book as a CFI. Helicopter Instructor's Handbook. Okay, so this is very similar to the Helicopter Flying Back Handbook. However, this is from a CFI standpoint. The FAA is laying out, what are you gonna see? What are the common errors students are gonna make when you're teaching them in the helicopter? So that's included. Look at all this stuff. And then
Private pilot PTS. This is a must-have. You must have it at the student and the private level, and you're going to want to use it when you're teaching your students, because you got to beat them and make them buy their own copy, but you need to have a copy as a CFI. And because you're going off the street to CFI, you're going to use it for your private. And then commercial pilot and flight instructor in the same PTS. For helicopter, you're going to need that for your commercial rating and your CFI rating. What else we got? Here's the little baggie that comes with the backpack. So if you got smaller items that you want in there, but you don't want them loose. So that's nice. There is a zipper inside here. There's a zippered pocket, pocket for your laptop, as I already said. And what else we got? The handy dandy. I just placed an order for a few more of these because these are going over well. Because I'm telling the story about our screw up and the overspeed. I blame it on us not being organized enough, and the new student not going through the checklist properly, getting out of sequence, and I didn't catch it, and we had a problem. So the handy dandy checklist, or again, checklist. Hogs. It's not hogs. I just put my sticker on it. But anyway, I got more of those on order. These are going to change. This is a pretty robust package, as you can see. After this sells over, we're going to tone this down. This is a lot of stuff. As you can imagine, this is a pretty good value here. And for the price we have it at, I'm doing it for this sale, but I can't do this all the time. So packages are going to change up a little bit. So we got another video for you. You know, most of this, a few of these are from the new CFI section, but anybody can watch, right? Because whether you're a student or you're a CFI or you're in between, some of these videos I'm giving tips to the new CFIs, right? What to look for. So Private Pilot Study Guide, there is a link down below for this. Oh yeah, and I want to mention, we just sent out over $2,000 in commissions. One gentleman got $1,500 from signing up a bunch of his students. We just sent it to his PayPal account. After this is done, we'll check. There should be an affiliate link down below this video. I'm going to put one down there. There are people putting decent money in their pocket, 50% commissions. I'll put a link. You get your own login page. It keeps track of who you sign up, and it tells you exactly the money going to be owed to you every 30 days, because it's a 30-day, right? We make sure they don't refund, and after 30 days, you get your money, 50% commissions. Link down below for the Private Pilot Study Guide. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Okay, let's not say simple. A basic question. I'm hitting weather again. It's November, almost December. Now weather's a problem almost every day, at least for us here in the Midwest. So there's 4 answers to this question, but this is something every one of you out there, if you're a pilot, you got to know this. I don't care what level you're at. Name 3 of 4. Okay? And the first one to answer correctly in chat is going to win the first one, and then we're going to give away 2 more of these. This is our copy we get beat around here. Here's your brand new. We got a stack of them over there. Not a stack, but we got a few. All wrapped up nice and brand new and neat. There is a link down below if you want to purchase a copy of one of these. And there's a link for a free download chapter 1 too, as well. So you can go and experience it and see it in a PDF format. So here's the deal. Remember, I have to say this every time. Heather's going to claim the winner in the chat by the way our Hogs chat shows. Your device may show differently. There's no arguing. Whatever Heather sees in chat as the first correct answer is the winner. And please spell appropriately. I know you want to win the Private Pilot Study Guide because it's badass, but please spell properly so we know what it is you're typing. Please. All right, here we go. Name 3 of 4 of the intensities of ice. You could call it 4 types of icing. Name 3 of the 4. Heather has a duplicate book over there, right by her at the computer. She knows what's there, so she's watching while I'm talking, and she's going to claim the winner as shown in the Hogs chat. So while she's watching that, you can go ahead and probably get your next video up. Get ready. You got your next video ready, Heather? Yep. I'm not even sure what it is, but any questions, put them in the box. We can talk about it in between videos. And what else can I tell you? This sale ends tonight. This is November 28th. So on these packages, that was just pro. We have a package built for private 12 months, commercial 12 months, and CFI 12 months access. Each one of those has a package. Not quite as robust as this one, but close.
Remind them that it's the intensities of ice, not the 3 icing types.
Intensities of ice. Okay.
Kind of getting the answers to the question above it.
Okay. All right. So we're not asking the 3 types of icing. We're talking about the intensities of ice.
Light, moderate, severe. We got one, Rich Grant.
Rich Grant. Hey, Rich. Rich, he just called me, left me a message yesterday. Rich, I got to call you back. Been crazy the last 2 days. I will give you a call. I'm trying to remember what your question is because I would answer it right here while we're live. I can't remember. I'll check that up when we play the next video. All right, we're going to come back and we're going to do 2 more private pilot study guide giveaways. So Heather, if you have that queued up and ready, we'll just go to the next video. We'll be right back.
So now I want to get to some of the basic stuff. Like we just talked about the liftoff check, hover checks. How about clearing the tail? I'm clearing my tail to the right now. I'm going to look back this way. I have the tail off my left-hand side. Might wiggle around here a little bit. So with students, let's just use this taxiway, for example. If you want to have a student hover from here to point B, which is directly ahead down this taxiway, okay? You want to make them hover this way, keeping the nose straight, right? What do students want to do? Let's say the wind is off the left-hand corner. They want to go, oh, well here, I'm going to turn the helicopter this way, and I'm going to hover taxi this way. Don't let them get into that. That's a bad habit to get into. Why? You want to keep that nose straight in case the engine quit. So the hover taxi is nice, slow, low to the ground, following your line. Then when you want to go, like, okay, we're here, and we want to go back towards my hangar. It's directly to the east. Do a clearing turn. And a lot of people are really good at this. Some people don't do it. You need to do clearing turns every time. So I'm going to do the best I can at clearing my tail to the left, and I'm going to make a right pedal turn. Do this with your students. Make them go low, slow, clear the tail, and we're going to go this way. So let's say we go over here a ways, and then now we're going to make a turn because now we want to go back to the north. Stop. Clear the tail right. Left pedal turn to the north. Continue on, nice and slow. Those clearing turns are essential. And people go, this is the one that I hear later. Well, Kenny's not around. I'm not doing all that clearing turn stuff. I have a student I trained 20 years ago. Now he works for the FAA. What do I think of that, you know? I have other stories, and I'm not going to bore you with them. I do this. I did it in EMS when I was flying. No matter where I was doing or where I was going, everything is stop, slow, clear the tail, turn. They even told us in the little company I worked for, they were in business for 50 years, and they did a study in their own helicopter, or in their own business, and they said, guess who's wrecking helicopters? It's guys with more than 15 years in EMS, like 15,000 hours. That's who's wrecking the helicopters, and the #1 accident is tail rotor strikes, turning their tails into trees, wires, hangar doors, buildings, ambulances, fire trucks. I'm just telling you, from a study of 50 years in a helicopter EMS company, it was turning your tail into stuff. So train these students from the very beginning. Low, slow, clearing turns. #1, so if the engine quits, you can go straight down, slide it on. #2, you don't stick your tail into an obstacle. #3, here's something else I see. And a lot of commercial guys coming this year, going for CFI, I caught them doing this. Like, let's say we want to go back to my hangar. The wind is off my right. So when I turn towards my hangar, the wind's going to be behind me. So here's what people do. And here's what students want to do. And you want to stop people from doing this. See, I'm already struggling turning. The wind's behind me, and I want to go this way. So when you're going to have to be in these positions where hangar's there, I'm going that way. So I want to stay low. I want to go slow. I want to move towards my hangar. And what people do, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to fight the pedals because it's wiggling. So they want to go faster, and they want to go higher. And then what happens? You start doing that. Then you start pulling more power. And then you start turning the wiggle in the tail. And then it starts getting more sloppy. And pretty soon it gets ugly, and you're on the verge of LTE. I can't believe the amount of people that do that, right? So it's like, slow it down. get it low to the ground, take your time. And people could say, oh, well, that's too redundant. I'm not doing all that. Well, you know, that's a hazardous attitude. From the professionals that I've flown with, you know, I've learned from good people. I've worked for good people. My mentors have all been really good, respected people in the industry. And all I've done is followed what they taught me. I didn't create any of this. You know, my best stuff is all stolen. You know, I learned everything I'm doing. I learned from somebody else. I just took all the bits and pieces and all the good things and kind of rolled them into one little package for what my training has evolved into. Because I'm not claiming to be, you know, an expert or the smartest guy on the block. I'm just a guy who has stuck with the basics that I was taught, and that's it. Sticking to the basics, taking your time, slow, smooth, methodical, nothing in a rush, clearing turns, tail clear right, tail clear left, low to the ground, lift, pre-lift checks, pre-hover checks. To me, that is what makes a good pilot. Not being a hot dog, that don't get it. It's easy to be a hot dog. It's a lot harder to do this stuff and do it slow, smooth, and methodical.
Okay, you're gonna have to hear me preach for a minute. Everybody's playing for the private pilot study guys, and that's great. Only question I really saw, and there was somebody said something about, well, you know, we're trying to get, you know, the most for our money. And I'm not sure in context, I don't want to take it wrong, but here's what my first instinct is. When you make a comment like that, like, I don't care what it costs, right? When you're in the aircraft, everything needs to be done slow, smooth, methodical. Nothing should be ever hurried. We didn't hurry in helicopter EMS, so we all had 2,000 hours or more, and whether we're going on a maintenance flight or we're going to an accident call, we did everything the same. Slow, smooth, methodical, checklist. Why would any flight school out there, why would any student or anybody working on a rating, why would you be hurrying? I don't care what it costs. If it's $500 or it's $800 an hour, 4 or 5 nice approaches, it's going to work out pretty good in that hour for your $500 to $800 an hour. But if you're rushing the checklist because you want to try to get 10 approaches in an hour, somebody's stealing your money, right? There's never a reason to rush. There's never a reason to hurry. We just had a $54,000 incident out here because we got fucked up on the checklist and things weren't done correctly and followed correctly. And that's for people getting nervous and being in a hurry and not doing stuff right, okay? There you go. I just can't stress enough the basics and how people, you gotta go slow. You got to go slow. Slow, smooth, methodical. Everything needs to be done slow in that aircraft. That's how things get tore up and how people get hurt and killed and aircraft get tore up and damaged. All right, so what's next? Very simple. Please spell correctly. Please take the time to spell correctly. Do I need to say that a third time? No? Heather just said no. All right. I know you want to win the study guide. All I want, there's 4 terms here. Please spell them correctly in order. So we have these weather systems, these radio weather thingies we turn in. I want to know, you don't tell me what it is, I just want to know what the letters stand for. What is an AWOS? AWOS. What does that stand for in our weather? Checking, getting ready to go fly, we're tuning this in. What is AWOS? Heather has the book open over there. She will know the first person to answer correctly. So we showed you the pro pilot gear. I got off on a tangent on the whole, you know, going slow and checklist thing. But, you know, I can't stress enough, people, you know, this energy is coming from Nathan? Jason. Jason who? Just says Jason. All right, Jason, you're the winner. I should have said email Heather at helicopterground.com to get your She typed it in there, so email heather@helicopterground.com. Just a lot of sloppiness I see this past summer doing 9 check rides to people from Maine, Florida, New Mexico, Arizona, Oregon. And some of these are advanced check rides, commercial and CFI. And we had great people that did great things, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of sloppiness that goes on in the cockpit, and there's a lot of aggressive, aggressive with controls. And the report I keep getting is, well, that's what the flight school wants. I'd switch flight schools. If they're pushing you and it's push, 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 go, 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 push, 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 there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. All right, Heather, you got your next video up? All right, let's roll it.
Okay, CFI applicants, I want to really hone in on setting up approaches. And the reason I can say this with confidence, a lot of guys are coming here as commercial pilots, wanting to work on their CFI, and not always have they been consistent with setting up their approaches. It's like, oh, I use this altitude. Oh, I use that altitude. Oh, I just kind of wing it and I roll out on final. You can certainly do that, but in the teaching environment, you have to have your students set to a standard, and by setting it up, by setting it up the same each time consecutively, that's how you can get consistent, nice approaches. So I'm going to turn kind of an extended right base here. I'm 500 AGL, I'm 1,350. By the time I line up,
Traffic Skybrunker 51 is over midfield for a teardrop entry for right downwind runway 4, cold water.
By the time I line up for my normal approach angle, I want to be at 300 AGL. So we'll go around again, we'll keep talking about this because I want to go into this at length and make sure that you're going to work with your students and make sure that this is working out for you. So I'm out quite a ways from the runway. You should be able to see that from the skid camera. So I want to be at 300 AGL before I intercept my normal approach angle. So I'm going to go ahead and start descending now a little bit. And the key to setting these up and being consistent and having your students pull off good approaches is setting it up the same way every time and doing it at 300 AGL. That's textbook. So I'm going to be about 1,150 to be 300 AGL when I intercept my angle. So I'm going to go ahead and get that now. So I'm going down collective, a little bit of right pedal, do kind of a pre-landing check here, warning caution lights are out, gauges in the green, plenty of fuel, I just took fuel on, timer's running, I'm out of the yellow. So I got all kinds of time, I'm down to 1,300, I need to lose another 150 feet before I approach my angle. So take your students out far enough that you can have this and get set up. Because we're going to watch the instrument panel here, we're going to have 300 AGL, 60 on the speed, and 0 rate of descent before we get to that angle. I'm getting close, so I'm going to go, I need to hair right pedal. I'm going to go a little aft cyclic. I want to get rid of that descent. Okay, so I have my 60. I have 0 rate of descent, a little pedal for trim, 1,150. So I have my 300 AGL. I'm just about to my normal sight picture. I want to keep holding this. Nice and stabilized. Key to a nice approach, good setup. Looking good. So now I can go ahead and start my approach. So I'm going to go down collective, right pedal, a little bit of aft cyclic. Now I'm going to use the collective to control the angle, cyclic to control the speed, and see if I can't fly a nice normal approach down to the numbers 3-6. So again, I can't harp enough about how I have guys coming to me at the private level, but specifically the commercial level, want to be CFI, and they're not consistent setting up their approaches, and even struggling with even flying decent approaches. And I know recently somebody on social media said, well, nobody flies a pattern anyway. Well, you do for check rides, right?
Traffic to Skyhawk 12874, entering final for runway 29er, full counting.
And not only check rides, but also for your flight reviews. So you can't tell me that there's not a good reason to consistently fly approaches. You got to do it for advanced check rides. You got to do it for your flight reviews. And then you as instructors You want to teach people how to do this consistently every time. So I'm down to the numbers. I'm going to clear tail right. Do a little left pedal turn here. Another beautiful evening. Tail clear right. Warning caution lights are out. Gauge is in the green. Looking good. So when people say, well, you know, who flies a pattern? Who flies a normal approach? We just go point A to point B. Well, if you're just getting your private and you're going for fun, and that's all you ever want to do, I guess, then go ahead and struggle at your check rides. And struggle for your flight reviews when you don't remember how to fly a proper normal approach. So then another little tidbit that you may or may not be doing. When you get established in your CFI job, and whether you have one runway or two runways or three runways, you'll figure out which runways you're going to use most of the time. But get a concise pattern kind of built to where you know, I'm going to turn here, I'm going to turn there, and you can help a student out if you have a pattern where you can say, hey, turn at the red barn for your crosswind, at that pond, turn right for your downwind. And by helping them, you get a nice pattern laid out. It's easier for them to learn to fly to the numbers that you want them to fly by using those landmarks. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a great way to also help them get that consistency, is by once you figure out where 300 AGL is for a normal approach, and if you know you're over a yellow house, you can tell your students, say, look, okay, we have our landmarks, we know where we're going to turn. And when you come over that yellow house, if you're at 300 AGL on your altimeter over that house, you're on a normal approach down to the numbers. So using little tips like that, I just think are big when you get out there and start flying with students, because I'm telling you, what I see, as simple as a pattern may be, some people don't know how to fly a good pattern.
260 Mike, 3 miles southeast, entering a left, downwind, runway 22, marine traffic.
I had a gentleman come to me that was wanting to get freshened up.
1374, entering left downwind, Fulton County. Runway 29 or Fulton County.
Because he was going to work on an instrument rating. But for 8,000 hours, he was flying tours. He couldn't fly a pattern to save his life. Why? Because he's doing tours or news reporting, whatever he was doing. He never flies a pattern. So I get it, but then I had to reteach him a pattern, because he's going to go do instrument training. He needs to be able to fly a pattern, right? Still got to fly standard takeoff, standard pattern coming and land, and examiner's going to want you flying to a standard. All right, so let's talk through it one more time. The real trick is just kind of finding your landmarks, figuring out what works. But I'm telling you, 300 is textbook.
Marine traffic, Sky 2630 Mike is on a downwind, runway 22, marine traffic.
I mentioned it in an earlier video in this series. In the professional environment as EMS pilots, they want us to climb to 300 AGL. Before we start our turn, they want us to line up our approaches at 300 AGL. So it's good for an EMS pilot, it's good for a private pilot, right? All right, let's do this again. So I got lined up, I got my carb heat. I'm about 50 feet away from 300 AGL. So I'm going to go a little aft so I can slow down and get rid of that rate of descent. Check my trim, I need a little bit of left pedal. There we go. And go down just a few more feet. There's 300 AGL, there's 60. Hair of descent, I want to clean that up, because that messes with your sight picture, right? That's why you want to be zero rate of descent, have the right speed.
Entering final, runway 29 or Fulton County.
Have your 300 AGL. And then when you see your approach, you can go, okay, I have my normal approach picture, down collective, right pedal, aft cyclic, and look how nice that starts out that entry. This is how you're going to be able to get your students to be consistent. And I'm going to tell you,
Sky 2630 Mike is turning a left base runway 22 marine traffic.
as a CFI, you're going to pull your hair out trying to get people to fly approaches and fly them correctly.
Runway 4 for a few trips in the pattern, cold water traffic.
You're here to be a CFI? Great. I'm trying to steer you along the right path to help make that happen, and I want you to be successful once you're out there and hopefully save you some headache and heartache once you're at your job and out there teaching. Okay, soon to be CFI. I want to teach you about the air cushion. If you've watched our private or commercial, you've heard it. But even though you've already heard it, listen again. I just had a CFII here, and he's used Hawks for all of his training and good pilot and been with Hawks for 7 years. And he was like, man, I'm struggling on my pickups and set downs. And we went out and we did this, and he was like, oh my God, I never really understood this. So there's an air cushion about 6 to 8 inches above the ground before you set down. And the reason when you're teaching people how to fly and how to hover and how to set down, when they come down, they're going to get to that air cushion, and then they start wondering why it doesn't go the rest of the way down.
Full catch traffic, this is takeoff 12874, entering left downwind, runway 29, full.
So here's what I want to show you. Let's do a nice set down. We're coming down, coming down, coming down. I'm not moving the collective. We're coming down, and we're getting down to the air cushion. Now watch what's going to happen. It's going to kind of hang. It's going to go up, and then it'll go back down. And it'll go up, and it'll come back down. So there is a collective setting that'll get you almost to the ground, but not quite, because you're hitting that air cushion. And then all of a sudden, helicopter stuff's going back up again. See, you need to sit there all day going up, down, up, down. That's the problem. Somebody's coming down, and they have a nice set down going, and it looks good, nice and slow, and they get down here, you get to the air cushion, and then boom. Okay, so then they start doing this. Well, I think I'm there, you know, and they start jiggling the controls, and you see this happen all the time. So let's go back up a little bit. Here's the key. When you're teaching them and you're getting a nice hover going, you got to teach them when you get down to that air cushion, it takes a tiny little bit of movement. Now I'm going to go a little down collective. Look at that. I had to push just a hair of down collective to get through that air cushion. And then remember collective all the way down. People get in a bad habit of getting the collective part of the way and then stopping. No, collective all the way down anytime you sit down. So let's pick back up. Warning caution lights are out. Gauge is green. Timer's running. We're out of the yellow. So let's demonstrate that again one more time. Then I'm going to have my collective, take my hand off the collective so you can tell you I'm not moving it. I'll keep it right there. So look at it touches. And it goes back up. See if it'll come down and touch again. Come on. Come on. There we go. It's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. There it touches. Now it's going back up. See? So think about that. This is the reason you even see experienced pilots out there struggling with set down. So when it gets down there, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my hand back on the collective. And when it comes down, a little downward pressure. And look at that. Boom. All the way down. Simple video. I'm telling you, if you understand the air cushion early on and you just show students this, talk them through that, they're going to improve those set downs. And they're going to make them better, quicker than the average student. I'm telling you. I help commercial and CFI guys that are struggling to get a nice set down. And they're like, oh, I never heard of that air cushion. I'm like, well, I don't know why everybody doesn't teach it. So right there you go. There's the air cushion that causes people a big problem on set downs.
All right, so we're going to do another easy one. Hopefully there'll be less hullabaloo in the chat over this one. You know. So one more question, Private Pilot Study Guide. This is the third one. And I think we're going to come back for a bonus and give away, we've been doing scratch and dent stuff, so I think I'm going to give away a commercial flight instructor PTS after the next video. So this is for Private Pilot Study Guide. Kind of along the lines of the last question, and there's that damn furnace coming on again. Same as last time. What, we just want 4 words. Please spell correctly. What is ASOS? A-S-O-S. Please use the proper terminology, spell correctly. First one to type it correctly. Heather will have it in chat. Or she's watching in chat. She's got a copy of the book over there. This is the Private Pilot Study Guide. And, you know, this thing is badass. Everybody that's used it, and I had some commercial and CFI guys here this summer, and I let them use this, take it back to the hotel, and they were like, that thing is nice. So if you want to get your own copy, they're down below. And, you know, you get what you pay for, right? Like when I was in the towing service, in the end, I had the largest heavy duty truck, 3 winches. I could roll a tractor trailer over by myself. But let's say my price was, you know, $300 an hour for that truck. The guy down the street would send out 3 trucks and use 3 trucks, but he charged, like $150 an hour per truck. So people go, oh, well, his truck's only $150 an hour, we hire him. Yeah, and they take 4 times as long and they're charging for 3 trucks. Pay the guy that had the proper truck that could do it faster and do it right. In the end, cost them less money, but people don't see that. Same way in helicopter flight training. If you're chasing around going looking for the cheapest place, that may not necessarily get you your rating. We've had guys here, we had a guy here recently, he had 180 hours to get his instrument rating, and he came here frustrated like crazy, and he came from a reputable school. 180 hours to get his instrument rating. And we've heard this, we've had guys here with 160 hours, 170 hours working on ratings, and they came here to finish. So how much does the cheapo route go for you in the end? Do you have a winner yet, Heather?
Yes,
Skids up. Skids up here almost every single event. All right, so we'll come back and we'll do the commercial and CFI PTS giveaway when we come back after the video. Do you have your video ready to go, Heather?
Yep.
She's typing. So roll that video and we'll come back for one more giveaway.
All right, so we're going to head back to the airport, and I'm going to just talk to you real quick about why we teach the painfully slow takeoff. You see it in our videos. We talk about it all the time. But the idea is if the engine's going to quit, it's going to quit during a power change. And if you think about this, I think it makes a lot of sense. You're driving down the road in your car. You have the accelerator set at a certain speed. You're not accelerating or decelerating. You're just cruising along. Sure, it could quit running, but that's not normally when your engine quits, right? If you think about it, it's usually like when you go to push on the gas to accelerate is when the vehicle will die. Or you let off the gas, the vehicle will die. It's not normally when you're at a steady RPM just driving down the road. So we're in an R-44. We're in a gas-powered, helicopter. Same thing applies. So when we're trying to teach you to do the painfully slow takeoff and not move the collective, we're doing that because we want you to learn not only how to take off on a hot day. That's what I'm normally talking about. On a hot day, you might be loaded to capacity and you might not have any available extra power. You might be hovering at your max and you have to take off that way. But another reason why I do this takeoff all year round, winter, summer, I did it professionally in EMS. I always do the painfully slow takeoff. And so ultimately we're taking off and we're not changing any power. And we've been showing this in some recent videos, but we're going to head into the airport and I'm going to show you again, demonstrate how to take off and how it will give you 60 and a 500 feet per minute climb. And you're just, I guess I want to say, narrowing your possibility of getting into or causing an engine failure. If you just think about it, if you're not changing the power, you're keeping that one power setting, it's less likely that it's going to quit. It's more likely to happen when you're changing the power. So why I would rather be up here and not at 40 feet and 40 mile an hour, right? That's a lot harder to execute that auto rotation when you're in that area of the height velocity diagram. It's not saying you can't recover, but it's going to be a lot harder to recover. So why not be at altitude with 500 feet when you change your power setting? And again, the beauty of it is for 2 reasons. You're learning how to do it on a heavy day, and you're all going to do it, whether you're a private pilot or you're doing commercial work later. This is for the private course that we're shooting right now, but you might have a day, you put your friends in with you, you put a bunch of fuel on, and sometime you'll make a mistake. We've all done it, where you take on more fuel than what you should have, and then you go to pick up, and you are hovering at your max power for the day. It's going to happen to you. So clear right. I'm going to do a left pedal turn. Check the area real quick. So what we're going to show you now is exactly what we're talking about for this video. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to have Heather point the camera down to my left hand, and we're going to point out to you that right now our hover power is about 21. But let's say it was a hot day and I'm hovering at my max, whatever it is. Let's say it's 25. But anyway, we're going to say this is a maximum power. So for demonstration purposes, I'm taking my hand off the collective. We don't do this in normal flight or normal training. So I'm just going to start gently moving the helicopter forward, little bit by little bit, called the painfully slow takeoff. I'm going to stay on top of my pedals. I am not going to touch that power. I'm not going to touch the collective at all. My hand's there in case. I'm going to move forward, creep forward, creep forward. There we touch just a little bit, but that's okay. As long as we keep it moving forward, it'll keep going. We touch the skid just a little bit, once or twice. Let's see what's happening. I still have not, I put my hand close, but I did not touch it. I did not pull it. Now I got 30 and I'm getting a little bit of a climb going. I'm going to stay low till I get around 50. Then I'm going to get my climb going. Still have not moved that collective. I want to get in trim now. And now I'm going to shoot for 50. I'm sorry, I'm going to shoot for 60 up here on the instrument panel and 500 feet per minute climb, and there it comes. There is your standard 60 and your standard 500. Could be a hot day. Could be a cooler day like today. But point is, I didn't move that collective at all. It's easier on the engine. And now we're down at 20 on the manifold pressure. Why? Because the aircraft became more efficient as we gained that forward speed, and now the helicopter engine is working less, not working as hard, I guess I want to say. Now I'm up here. If I want to make a collective change, I got some open areas to go. I got open fields right below me and right here to my right. I could easily make those fields. If I want to add a little bit of power now, make that power change. So that's the whole idea behind why we don't want you moving the collective up and down during takeoff. It's just a good habit to be in.
Okay, after the last few days, I've called it scratch and dent giveaways. We have all these products, cool training gear, and I will tell you, it's been like Christmas every day at my house for 3 weeks. I love training materials because I'm a freaking weirdo. So we're gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna give away this because this got a little crease in it. It doesn't hurt it any, but it's got enough of a crease. I don't want to put it in. I want you to open up your. When you go for Pro Pilot and you get all this, or you go for commercial or CFI and you get all this, everything that's included, I want everything to come out nice out of the package. Heather takes the time and packs it real neat. So we'll give away this. It's got a little crease in it. And again, I told you, it's for commercial and flight instructor helicopter, so that's cool. And we're gonna make this so easy to win, and we're gonna hone in on please spell correctly, please capitalize correctly, please put spaces in correctly to win the PTS. And then I'm gonna come back after the next video, because it's an important video that you may or may not have seen, but it's an important message that I want to get out there. Type in the chat the title of this book exactly as shown on the book. Couldn't be any easier. Proper spelling, proper capitalization to win. And that's for the PTS, commercial and CFI PTS. And then when we come back after the video, I'll tell you, I'm giving away a knee board. And because I've already went overboard, I was only gonna do 3 private pilot study guides. Then I decided on that, and I thought, you know what? If you don't know, I had an overspeed incident a couple weeks ago that's cost us dearly, right? It's on me as an instructor. I almost went and got this before our second flight, or third flight. And I said, you've been struggling with the checklist. I should get the knee board. And he's like, let's do it on the next one. Next flight. I should have went and got it. But anyway, still my fault, right? I'm the instructor, it's my fault. I'm gonna give away another one of these after the next video, because you will hear me pushing checklists, knee boards, proper checklist usage, step by step. You make a mistake, go back. I'm gonna be harping on this. The estimate on our aircraft is $54,000, and it's in Tennessee in pieces now, and I won't have it back for like 2 months. So is this forefront of my mind? It is. Check this out. I'm gonna give one of these when we come back, because I placed an order today, and I like them so much, and because of what I'm preaching, I ordered, I think 5, and I emailed him back and said, you know what, send me 8, because I'm gonna do my best to prevent you or someone you know from having a major mistake. And if you don't understand limitations, that's the problem. That's the reason I fessed up to my mistake, because if you don't fess up when you exceed a limitation and you don't tell, then the aircraft can have a failure in a day, a week, a month, a year, 2 years down the road, because you didn't report and get an inspection. Some other poor person comes along the way and has a fatal accident over a catastrophic failure because you didn't fess up when you damaged an internal component and it was never inspected and never caught. So we're going to come back. This video is only about 10 minutes. And I want to talk about this for 10 minutes. And we'll come back and we're going to give away that knee board.
Live to fly another day. Helicopterground.com.
We're going to tell you how you can get one of these to be at your flight school. Heather, you can go ahead and roll that video.
When you feel the pressure to fly, but know the right decision is to stay on the ground, hit the hogs no-go and live to fly another day. Helicopterground.com.
Yep, because that's why people get killed, from making bad decisions and taking off and flying into bad weather when they shouldn't. Helicopter Online Ground School member, as you see on the wall behind us here, these are all of our members that have passed check rides. So they use our training to get through, let's say, private pilot. Once they pass their check ride, they send us in a picture, as you can see, with their check ride helicopter. Usually either they're with their instructor or maybe they're with the examiner. But when they send us a picture by the aircraft, and we like them right after the check ride because that's when they're excited, right? They just got that certificate in their hand. And a lot of these people have that in the pictures you'll see. When they send us a picture to tell us they passed, and they usually just write a sentence or two. We don't ask for a, 10-paragraph story. We just say, hey, how did hogs help you? And they'll usually say something like, hey, couldn't have done it without hogs. I could have never studied this big pile of overwhelming information on my own. Once they send that in there, then you, Heather, ships them the no-go button. So how many no-goes are you shipping today?
Today I am shipping 6 no-goes.
Where did the idea of the Hogs No-Go button even come from?
I like telling the story about the no-go button. When I was flying EMS, I was working with this guy's name was Mike Matera, Vietnam-era pilot, and I learned a lot of stuff from this Vietnam-era pilot. It was cool working opposite him because I would learn lots of little things at shift change. And as an EMS pilot, a lot of time the pressure is to make the call. You get the phone call, there's a patient somewhere that needs transported from point A to point B. And there's the pressures either of your own pressure to go because you haven't flown in a while, or maybe you're feeling a little pressure from the hospital or the crew, which shouldn't take place, but in the real world it does. Wherever that external pressure is, it's hard to make that decision sometimes. And especially, the company I worked for 5 years, you could sleep at night. You could be in the middle of sleeping, 2 a.m. the phone rings, you have to take the call, check the weather, check the location, figure weights, how far do I got to go, pull the helicopter out and be in the air in 10 minutes. So you have to make a decision really, really quickly most of the time. And there's pressure behind making that decision. So Mike had an easy button, a stapleless easy button up on the shelf. And I can't remember if I witnessed him do it or he just told me. However it came about, he was using the stapleless easy button to break the, I don't know the word I'm looking for. There's a lot of pressure to make that decision. So it was a way to relieve the stress after, example, you tell dispatch, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline this flight due to weather. And he'd hang up the phone and he'd reach up, bam, he would hit the easy button. And of course it says, that was easy. So to me, I thought it was great. It was cool because it was a way to help you relieve the pressure of saying no, whether you want to go or somebody else wants you to go or you're feeling the pressure of whatever the flight is. And EMS, they try to pretend or try to not have those pressures, but pressures come regardless. Real world pressures are just something that happens. So it's the pressure of going, man, you hate telling people no, regardless. And you can take this in your own, as a private pilot, making the decision, you flew somewhere, for lunch with your buddy, and then you're getting ready to go back home, and your son's playing ball that night, and then there's a storm. You want to get home because you want to go to your son's ball game. You don't want to disappoint your boy because you can't make it home. So you start going, well, maybe can I fly around this storm? Can I wait it out? What can I do? And so you have these pressures sometimes you might create on your own reason because you want to get home for a family event. It's the pressure to fly, and this is a way that an individual can use it in your own decision making, and that's why it says no-go. Because when you make that decision, I'm not going, you hit the button.
Live to fly another day. Helicopterground.com.
Nice. So in essence, it's a visual cue, a visual reminder. Perfect. Can I have one for my flight school?
Can I have one from my flight school? That's actually a good question. What we've done in the past is we've only sent them to members for passing the check ride, with the exception of maybe twice when we were live, we gave one away. However, since that's a question I wasn't prepared for, I would love to see some of these at a flight school, but I'd like some kind of guarantee that that's where it's going. So that is a great question that I need to ponder. I think maybe we should think about that.
Who could they get a hold of if they are
Heather at helicopterground.com.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a grand idea. Preferably would be, we know we have flight schools and customers that send us members because they'll say, hey, where did you hear about us? And they might say Lone Star Helicopters or Straight Up Aviation in Florida. We know and we hear when our members are referred by their flight school. We know that because they'll usually tell us, because when you sign up for Hogs, it's a requirement, where did you hear about us? So many times they'll put in there, my flight school, or Straight Up, or Lone Star, whoever. If you want to qualify your flight school to get a Hogs No-Go button, I say you contact Heather at helicopterground.com, because I would love to see these. Well, that question brings up a good point. We recently had a member who not only sent in a picture, we had a member, I think, passed an additional check ride, and he already had a no-go button, and he said, I have the first no-go button I got at our flight school, and we have a blast with it, sitting around.
Live to fly another day.
Hitting the button.
Helicopterground.com.
So that kind of inspired us. It's like, you know what, if they're having fun at a flight school, sitting around clicking the button, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Because of the idea behind the no-go button. So if people are hitting the button and they're talking about it, that's a good thing.
Perfect. Can I get one now before passing my check ride?
Well, good question. We discussed this morning a limited time offer of selling them, and we threw out a number like $49.95. And we did say US only. I kind of said, let's think about it. And then we kind of thought, well, why not? Because, in all transparency, we buy these 50 at a time. We buy a whole shipment of them. And with buying them, getting them shipped here, and then shipping them to a member, we spend about half of a monthly membership. So recently, our examiner, who we just did the rotor tips with down at Heli Expo, he said, man, if I was you, I'd start selling those, because that way you could help offset the ones you're giving away for free. So I think if you're watching this video and you want one, for a limited time only, we will ship you one within the US for $49.95. So I think I should build a link and put below this video where you can purchase your own Hogs No-Go button.
Perfect.
While the offer lasts. Supplies are going to last because we're giving them away. And now that we've started it, we can't stop. But I think the special offer to buy one should be limited time only. And we'll decide later.
Can I send you a video of me utilizing the Hogs No-Go button?
Absolutely. We only have a few videos. We have a few, but we would like more. For example, one of our members sent in a picture or a video. He had his computer open, looking at a storm, and they had the no-go button sitting there, and he sent the video and said, well, looking at the weather today, this was pretty easy.
Live to fly another day. Helicopterground.com.
And he hit the button. We'd love to have videos of these because we have some pictures, and we'd love more pictures of members that have a no-go button. We'd love that, because we should probably start a no-go button wall. For everybody that sends in a picture for their no-go. I think we should.
It's an idea.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Is that it?
Well, who can they send the video if they utilize the Hogs No-Go button? Who can they send that video to?
Preferably Heather at helicopterground.com.
Great.
But me too, Kenny at helicopterground.com. But Heather?
Yeah.
Or Kenny. Yep, because that's why people get killed. From making bad decisions and taking off and flying into bad weather when they shouldn't. And you could even go beyond weather. In the beginning we called it the weather no-go button, and then we kind of thought, you know, we should just call it the Hogs no-go button, because it doesn't necessarily be weather. It could be you went on that flight with your buddy, you get ready to go back home, and you have some kind of a maintenance issue that pops up. And maybe you're scratching your head going, well, maybe we could make it. Or you start playing that game of, you know, in your gut, you should probably just stay put and get a mechanic to come out. And you try to finagle, well, I could mark it, you know, inoperative, and I could do this or do that. A lot of times it's gonna be better just to take the safe route, stay on the ground, and hit the no-go. Or we just say.
It's so funny. The reason I didn't ask you about where it came about is in my head, I was sure you would
Get there on my own?
Yep.
Okay, let's look at our clips. Who cares? You gotta tell me which side to be on, I keep forgetting. Over here?
Yep.
We're back on?
Yep.
All right, so we'll make this easy. You hung around, I appreciate that. Through all that turmoil. All you have to do is type in chat, but we want you to follow directions, right? And the reason I do this is when you're taking your written test, you know, your pre-solo written, your FAA written, your check ride, you know, we have PTS for that. You have to listen to instructions, right? You gotta follow directions. That's why we're trying to do that with answering questions. So, the answer to win the kneeboard is two digits. And that's what we want. We want a 2-digit answer, not spelling out how you would write this. Make it easy. It's 2 digits, okay? So for the for the kneeboard, we will be celebrating March 24, 2024. We will be celebrating how many years online? I want 2 digits. It's 2 digits, and our camera's about to go dead. Just in time, 1 minute. So hurry up, I know there's a lag. That stupid battery's gonna go dead. That happened to us yesterday. How many years? We want the 2-digit answer. What will be our birthday? What will be the Hog's birthday? Got a winner?
Nope.
Hog's birthday. Hog's birthday. Heather will be in chat. If this camera dies, don't worry about it. All right, she says you got some guessers. Nobody's got it yet. How many years will we be celebrating since the launch of Hog? Got it?
Jason's the winner.
Jason, you are the winner of the kneeboard. 12 years online as of March 2024. 12 years sounds cool, and the camera's getting ready to die. So I guess it's time to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. I don't know what else to do because this camera's going dead.